What is going on, YouTube? It's Joey back with another Draftkings video for NFL Week 5. In this video, I will be going over my favorite stacks for the Millionaire Maker this week. As you can see on the screen, the Fantasy Football Millionaire Maker on Draftkings. But before we get into that, as always, if you want to help support the channel, make sure you are subscribed. It is free to subscribe, so make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. And be sure to hit that notification bell if you never want to miss an upload from the DFS Dose. As always, you can support us by liking the video. And then you could check out the DFS Dose podcast, which is on any podcast platform that you may listen to, including Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Podcast Addict. Wherever you listen to your podcast, we are on there. So make sure you check out those episodes that come out every single Thursday and every single Monday for the entire NFL season. So make sure you check those out. But other than that, let's just get right into the video. So if you've been watching my videos every single week, I detail, 2 or 3 stacks that I think have a chance to win $1 million. And last week I hit the winning stack. I outlined in my video that the Cowboys stack with an Odell bringback was going to win the $1 million. That was one of my favorite stacks. That was the first stack I outlined, and I ended up hitting it. And myself, I did play that in the Millionaire Maker, but some of the other pieces that I played in that lineup didn't perform well. So I ended up obviously not winning $1 million, as you could see by my balance. So just wanted to be transparent with you guys. I haven't won $1 million. The lineups haven't been that good, but I have been hitting on the stacks if you've been watching the videos. So we have an interesting Week 5 slate that features a 12-game slate with 5 of those games having a total above 50 points, but there is some uncertainty on this slate with both the Titans and the Patriots projected to play right now after they've had games postponed due to COVID. So I would project that both of their games will be played on this main slate, but if something crazy happens like we saw last week with both the Titans and Patriots having players out due to COVID, it could turn into a 10-game slate, which would condense ownership immensely. But like I said, we are going to proceed as if those games are playing. So with that being said, the Cowboys are my favorite stack for NFL Week 5. And I mean, it's getting redundant at this point. Like, I felt like I've talked about them in every single video, which is crazy. But what needs to be said about the Cowboys offense? I mean, if they're going to be losing by 27, 30 points in every single matchup, this is an offense that we're going to be targeting in fantasy every single week. I mean, Dak is the quarterback 1 right now, and he is the overall number 2 fantasy player in terms of PPR points behind Alvin Kamara. Amari Cooper is the wide receiver 1 overall. Ezekiel Elliott is the running back 4 overall. So, I mean, just fantasy goodness in this offense. And you can never go wrong with plugging Dak, Ezekiel Elliott, and then you plug in Amari Cooper at 7,400. And then it's been just, pick whatever Cowboys receiver is cheaper in the given week. And that would be Michael Gallup. But obviously, CeeDee Lamb has shown that he has a considerable ceiling as well in this short season. So, I mean, Dak is on pace to throw over 6,700 yards, which would smash the passing record for a single season. And he is my favorite tournament quarterback. I mean, Dak has been in smash spots for the last 3 weeks. He hasn't put up no less than 30 points on DraftKings, and his ownership still hasn't gotten out of hand in any of those weeks. So at 7,400 being priced up, I could see Dak coming in at around 10 to 15%. So this is still a low-owned play. for the quarterback position, especially with some pay down options that people are going to gravitate towards. Ezekiel Elliott, like I said, is the running back 4 overall in terms of PPR points for running backs. And at 7,800, he is still the biggest mispriced player on the slate, in my opinion. This is a guy that should be priced over 10,000, and you're getting him at 7,800. Just absolutely abysmal pricing by DraftKings. Ezekiel Elliott is on pace to have the most receptions that he's ever had in a single season, and he is the definition of a workhorse running back, and I want that in my lineup 100 times out of 100. So Ezekiel Elliott, plug and play him, and he hasn't been in the winning stacks with Dak because they have been losing, but I think in this game against the Giants, Dak, Zeke, and one or two of the Cowboys wide receivers can eat. Like I mentioned before, Amari Cooper is the wide receiver 1 overall right now, and obviously he's been the biggest beneficiary of the elevated game scripts for the Cowboys besides Dak. I mean, Amari Cooper is averaging somewhere between 12 and 13 targets a game, and if he sees those averages throughout the single season, he could break the catch record along with DeAndre Hopkins on the Cardinals, and Michael Gallup and CeeDee Lamb are also in play for me this week. 5,400 for Gallup and 6,000 for CeeDee Lamb. I'd be more likely to play Gallup in this Cowboys stack because of his reduced ownership and his lower price tag off CeeDee Lamb, and that has been the way to go when playing these Cowboy stacks. So, I mean, just play all the Cowboys every single week. I don't think I really have to explain that. But I also believe the Giants offense is in play for week 5. They have a great matchup against the Cowboys. Like I said, the Cowboys defense can't stop a single soul right now. They literally get eaten up by every single player that faces off against them. I mean, they are down probably their top 3 cornerbacks. One of their best players on defense, Leighton Vander Esch, is still out on IR with a neck/shoulder injury. So the Giants are a team that I'm going to be targeting in tournaments, although they have been trash. Daniel Jones has been trash, turning the ball over multiple times in every single game. 1 interception, 1 fumble last week. Same goes for the previous 2 weeks, and then he had 2 picks in week 1. But with that being said, Daniel Jones is a player that we've seen hit 30 points on DraftKings in plus matchups. So at 5,400, I'd be willing to take a shot on Daniel Jones in a large field tournament such as the Millie Maker, and he does have some pairable options, and the best option to pair him with, in my opinion, is Darius, aka Godius Slayton, at 4,800. Darius Slayton is the Giants wide receiver 1 and offers immense upside at a sub 5K price tag this week. And I know that my co-host Ben is going to be all over this for cash games as well. And I think Darius Slayton is viable in cash, but he also is one of my favorite tournament plays on the week. I mean, this is just a guy that has touchdown upside. He has reception upside, especially if the Giants are losing. And I think he is the biggest mismatch in terms of player versus player on the Giants offense going up against the Cowboys defense. I don't think there's anybody that can match up with Darius Slayton on the Cowboys defense. So this is a phenomenal spot for Darius Slayton, and I will be plugging him into multiple tournament lineups, and I think you should too. And then I also have to mention Evan Ingram at 4,600 for the New York Giants. I mean, Evan Ingram hasn't had a good start to the year in 2020, but this is a get right spot for anybody, and we know that Evan Ingram does have some upside at tight end, so I'd be willing to take a shot on Evan Ingram at 4,600. We haven't seen him produce yet, but this is a clear just bet on talent play, and it's a good bring back option in your Dallas stacks. And Evan Ingram should be lower owned too. Maybe he might not be, maybe he will be. But I don't think people are going to want to play this Giants offense. Maybe that's wrong. It could be wrong for sure. but I think you can get some of these Giants players at lower ownership in a large field tournament such as the Millie Maker. So I will take that all day, every day. So basically just play the Cowboys and bring it back with some of the Giants. That is my favorite game stack for week 5. So the second game that I want to discuss as potentially one of my favorite stacks is the Carolina Panthers versus Atlanta Falcons game. So traveling to Atlanta, the Panthers are in prime position to explode all over the Panthers defense this week. The game has a 53.5 point total, and the Panthers are facing a Falcons defense that can't stop a soul. They have numerous injuries to their secondary, and Bridgewater should be able to feast against this terrible defense. The Falcons are a defense that have given up the second most total yards to opposing offenses in the NFL through 4 weeks, only behind the Seattle Seahawks. So Teddy Bridgewater is a guy that I will be focusing on playing in tournaments, and especially since you can pair him with a wide receiver or 2 wide receivers in DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson. So let me just lock in Teddy Bridgewater right here at 5,900, which is a very favorable price tag. And then if we go over to the receiver category, we could see DJ Moore is 6,000 and Robbie Anderson is 5,900. So Robbie Anderson at 5,900, I believe he is becoming the Panthers wide receiver 1 if he isn't already. And I think that is an opportunity to exploit, especially with the consensus amount of people still believing that DJ Moore is the Panthers wide receiver 1. But from the first 4 weeks of the NFL season, Robbie Anderson has shown that he is the wide receiver 1 in Carolina, showing a better chemistry with Teddy rather than DJ Moore. Robbie Anderson is the wide receiver 8 in terms of fantasy points on the season. So Robbie Anderson at 5,900 is one of my favorite tournament plays this week, and I just don't think anybody on the Falcons can keep up with Robbie Anderson. So this is a prime smash spot for Robbie Anderson, but it also is a prime opportunity to buy low on DJ Moore. So DJ Moore, who ended up being one of the highest owned wide receivers on the slate last week, ended up busting and losing people a lot of money. So I don't think people are going to be likely to go back to him this week. And I think this is a clear buy low spot for DJ Moore, facing a defense that has given up the second most amount of receiving yards to opposing wide receivers. This is a week, like I said, I'm willing to bet against the recency bias and plug DJ Moore into my tournament lineups and maybe even in cash lineups. I think this price and this matchup is just too good to pass up on DJ Moore. And I mean, we saw how explosive and how good DJ Moore was last season. We haven't seen that this season with Teddy, but I think this is a spot where you take a shot on DJ Moore and you play Robbie Anderson with him as well, so you get the vaunted Panthers double stack, and then you could run it back with Falcons wide receivers. And the wide receiver that I'm willing to target in this matchup, even at the second most expensive price tag, is Calvin Ridley. So everybody saw Calvin Ridley put up a donut against the Packers on Monday Night Football this week as he got locked up by Jair Alexander. But this is a spot where I don't think anybody is going to pay up to Calvin Ridley in tournaments, as, like I said, he is the second highest priced wide receiver at 7,500. But this is a guy that we've seen have wide receiver 1 overall upside throughout the first 4 weeks of the season. Honestly, Matt Ryan and Calvin Ridley should feast at home against this very young Panthers defense. I don't see any potential outcome of Calvin Ridley busting this week. I think Calvin Ridley will have a fantastic game, and I guess you could throw Julio Jones in there as well at 6,800, but no, I'd rather just pay up to Ridley. I'd rather just pay the extra 700 in salary to get up to the guy that we know has the higher ceiling in 2020 so far. So I think that Calvin Ridley is the bring back option with a Panthers stack, and then you can always include Todd Gurley in there if you want. His price tag is very favorable at a flat 5,700, and he could score 2 touchdowns, but personally I think Todd Gurley is absolute dust, and so therefore I am not playing Todd Gurley at all. You're kind of just banking on him getting 1 or 2 or 3 touchdowns to help you win a tournament, and that is not something that I want to do, and that is hopefully something you don't want to do, is banking on touchdowns out of your players. You want volume, you want catches, and I mean touchdowns are good obviously, but you want the volume most importantly, and I don't think Todd Gurley offers you that in your tournament lineups. But other than that, just an honorary stack that I want to mention for this week is the Texans. They just fired one of the biggest donkeys in the NFL, Bill O'Brien. So Bill O'Brien is out as the head coach. I don't know who's going to step in, but I think anybody is better than Bill O'Brien. And at home against the Jags with a 55-point team total, I think going back to Watson and Fuller is a great stack this week. I think they will go overlooked in the spot and will catch lower ownership. And there's also some interesting bring back options on the Jaguars with DJ Chark, Laviska Shenault, Keelan Cole, if that's your vibe, even James Robinson, if you believe that the Jags are going to get out to a lead. But the Jags and the Texans have the highest total on the slate, so I think there is some merit to playing the Texans side of the ball, and maybe even including some game stacks of that game in tournaments. So the Texans are my third stack, but like I said, I'm not going to get too deep into it. And that is going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and make sure you're subscribed to the video, like the video if you enjoyed this analysis of NFL Week 5. I hope you guys play some of these stacks and win a lot of money. That's what I'm planning on doing. Haven't done it so far, which is unfortunate, but you just have to keep on going and keep on improving, and hopefully you can win big one of these weeks. But I appreciate you guys for taking the time to watch this video. If you watched it all the way through, you're a real one. Be sure to be on the lookout for all of the content that we're going to have coming out for this week and weeks beyond. Thank you guys. Have a good one. Appreciate all of you. I'll catch you guys on the Thursday show of the DFS Dose.